All right, what is up, cyber traders? Welcome on back here this Monday afternoon, May 22nd. That is shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome on back here for the afternoon meeting. We got class on ahead, folks, for all of our students like Kathleen, Phil, James, John, Leda, and all of us just here joining us here right now, Chuck and Steve included. Rich will post the link for that coming up very shortly. I'm actually handing the keys to the castle over to Rich for this class, where he's going to teach you all about getting you set up with your computer, the hardware, and the platform, well, the software behind everything, right? So before we learn our strategy on how to follow the big money, before you know how to get in and out, why a stock is moving the way it is, well, we got to make sure we're all caught up to speed on the right tools. So Rich will be talking about that coming up right at 3:05 Eastern Time later on this afternoon, in just about 30 or so minutes. So with that, let's kind of hop to it here pretty quickly right now, right? I mean, the SPY has just been pretty flat across pretty much the whole day. A little drop at first, then it inched back up, but has been pretty flat though altogether. So, hopefully we could see a nice pump up into the close, but I'm not really expecting it. I still think that like on the SPY, 420 is a huge resistance to work off of. 415 was historically, but 420 is the next like incremental number there. It's been having a tough time from the end of last week, and we'll see if it can make a real breakout actually. If not today, then obviously the week is young, so if not today, maybe tomorrow. But for right now, APLD on the screen. I was just tossing up a stock here before I started this meeting, so let me actually configure my gainers list here. Actually, we've done really well across the day today. Not as much on this APLD actually. But let me ask us here that were with us from the end of last week, Thursday and Friday, like Ron, Ravina, Leda, Grant, who I always love to see here, Kathleen and Lawrence as well. What stock was moving with the APLD from the end of last week, folks? If you can go back briefly, nice, lovely weekend. Hopefully, you had a lot going on. So if you forgot, no sweat. But if there was a stock from the end of last week that was moving pretty well with APLD, or rather, maybe APLD was moving with this stock. Roger there hit it nail on the head. AI. AI, right? From Sam and Ravina too. And well, AI, we definitely have been all over today. Fausto had called this out after the market had opened up. In fact, I think one of our students had at first. Led to a big push, right? I mean, I didn't get my hands on this trade, at least from the morning run that it had, but on a coaching call I was with one of our students. We wrote this in the chat board earlier too. We were looking for a bounce on AI right off that 27 level, between the VWAP holding there pretty nicely and 2690 also kind of complementing it. Just going into the afternoon, I had said that AI worth watching at 27. David and I were looking for a bounce at the time. And hey, it took a couple minutes, don't get me wrong, but as long as the stock is making higher lows, it provides a good opportunity to see what you're looking for there. So I reposted that post, or reposted that chat just a moment ago in the chat board there. But yeah, I mean, for right now, we'll see if this can keep going. AI, it's up enough, and hopefully this makes a good push here into the close. All right, so AI, one of them already on our watch list to begin, but of course, otherwise, aside from that, I'd be remiss to not begin, with the MBOT trade. So, really from pre-market, we had this on our pre-market list, we had this on the morning watch list, and at that, I mean, hey, this was like the gift that kept on giving, right? Popped up as soon as the market had opened, made the slingshot effectively off of 170. Well, heading into like class time, it was kind of flattening out. We weren't necessarily expecting the second pop after, or the one after that, even heading into this meeting, basically. So hey, if we could see the pop, then it gives us a new chance to see this try and run again, build higher lows, try and make another run again. Thankfully, we could at least say with this stock, it has provided an incredibly good chance to make money all day today. Now, as much as I say that to you, this is just the truth behind it. I'm not shooting anything but straight here. I did not take a single trade on this stock today, MBOT. Not because it's too volatile. No. I mean, hey, this was on our pre-market list. It was on the morning list. Why did I not trade it? Well, folks, we could only follow so much at a time. And yeah, I mean, after this popped up at first, I didn't think it would make that second push. So, in the afternoon, it ran without me, that's for sure. But as long as you're able to dial in and buckle in on something from our watch list that was tradable, that was moving well. So let me ask us here, just lastly, like Ravina and Grant and Sam and all of us here, otherwise, Kathleen, Leda, Lawrence, what other stock outside the MBOT was really running all throughout the day today? I mean, AI, we kind of talked about there, but that was morning. This has been all day. What other stock has been pretty much moving upward all day? Well, actually, I want to give a shout out to IONQ, latest call out there. Actually, that was pushing up really well from the morning into the afternoon. It started to dive off just a little bit, but actually, that was a good one. That was a good one there from Sydney, and later had called that out initially. But we were typing it in the chat board all throughout the last 2 hours, folks. Kathleen cleaned up on it at least there, one of our students, and yeah, the Pack W trade. Perhaps we'll cover this from head to toe inside our weekly workshop traders talk come tomorrow. But you see, I had mapped out this whole trade. These lines were set from pre-market. I was out on my back patio here actually this morning through a remote desktop on, on my laptop, setting up my levels. These were done at like 8:30, 8:45 Eastern time this morning. Well, it goes to show that they are quite relevant for trading levels going into the regular session. In fact, no wonder why PAC-W didn't hit 6 on the nose. It actually held a complimentary level at 604, if anything. I mean, held that perfectly, moved back above 615, held that as support after. Now, I could tell you, coming off class, the phase 1 stock course, the first lesson that we conducted earlier today, well, I jumped onto a few coaching calls, and with one of our students, Haritz, we ended up, or Haritz, I should say, we ended up jumping in to the PAC-W trade right off that 630 level. Led to a phenomenal push at that time. And yeah, I mean, hey, just have to be there to take the trade, right? If the stock has a big level for us to focus on, and if it breaks through that big level on the way up, every trade begins with the entry, right? So after that, I mean, actually at that point, there was another level I didn't plot there, and one of my charts too cluttered, but just about 642, 643 should be a key level to work off of. It ended up flipping that as support here. And man, this thing has just been a dreamboat since. I mean, the MBOT trade definitely, the AI trade, from the morning, maybe that has some more life left to it. And with the way this is looking, this definitely seems like there could be more life left to this trade. It was a great entry off of 630. It was good to take some profit out just even at 655 and take some more out right here at 7, basically. And, there could still be a good play into the close. So if you're still holding on to some shares left, I think that's not a bad play, not a bad idea whatsoever, at least as long as you were in from that 630-ish area that we were first calling out. All right, so we got 3 on our watch list that are all really good, I feel like. I mean, the AI is probably the least favorite of these 3 so far, and that still looks all right. So let's see if there's anything else that looks really good. This looks really bad. It's a buyout. Yeah, there you go. Wow, look at this trade. Cheapy here, but really making a nice pop actually right now from the morning session too. QBTS. I mean, basically doubling up in price for the most part here from 50 cents upwards to $1. It's actually pretty close to $1. Normally we don't tend to trade these stocks below 1. If they're close to $1, we'll give it more thought. Let's see if there's anything looking a bit better, a little bit more expensive than penny stock like that, and something a little bit more liquid. This is more expensive than a penny stock, but not really that liquid. So, HEPA here, I ended up missing out on from the open, and we were focused on this in pre-market there off the pop. Some sort of phase 2 news in relation to, I believe it is liver cancer. Ended up leading to a good slingshot after the open from under and over 12. From there, really the next best level was VWAP, and then from there 15. So it rebroke above 15 here, held it as support once, and then even off this nasty shake right here twice, actually held it as support under and over from 15. Listen, if you're a level 5 trader here, then you know who you are. You don't need to look in the mirror to tell that, right? I mean, otherwise, this is just very thin for myself even. I'm not a big fan of trading a stock that's on a 18-cent spread or 12-cent spread, however much it is right now, and especially with the type of thin liquidity you see otherwise here. So, let's see if there's anything better. AVRO trying to make a bounce. That looked like a gap fill all throughout the day today. So just because we're getting a small little move here, not fully buying it just yet. Not fully buying that one just yet there. Now there's AVRO, then there's AVIR. AVIR, I'd mapped out briefly just that after the open, it ended up popping up pretty nicely, but failed to really cleanly run off of 5 cents. I'll tell you, it's still kind of holding here. So that part I'm happy with. It's got decent spread, decent liquidity, so long as it can remain above 5. And you could tell that by looking at the matrix here. Big volume spike there from essentially what we'll call like the CVP column there from the matrix. But yeah, we'll give this a second look. AVIR, so long as it holds over 5 for a long, maybe a break under 5 for a short, perhaps. Keep it going. CRCT. It's kind of at the highest here, but liquidity is not good. Got to be pretty picky and choosy right now at this stage, folks. Richard, there we go. Richard, I saw your chat before. I was going to get to the other ones we didn't run into yet, but here we are. Richard typed in before ARVL. We didn't really focus on this one as much going into the day. Maybe if I take a look, I'll find out otherwise. I'll tell you what, Richard, did a little chat or did a little search on the chat just now. That is the first mention of the stock today, ARVL. So better now than never, and hopefully this gives us more room to run with here into the close. The spread's a little wonky for like a cheap stock like that, though. It's on a 4-cent spread for a $3 stock. I'd be a little careful on that. But today is like the day of A's. We got AI, we got ARVO, we got AVIR, we got ARVL. What else we got here? ABSI. Not terrible. Not terrible at all, actually. When you look at this graph, moving back up to the highs, very liquid. Maybe a small little resistance off of 189, 190. Looks like it recently broke back over 176. I'll give this a look too. ABSI. All right. We got AKBA, another A. Looks like that already made its move, though. Not an A, but a U. Upstart. So Upstart coming off earnings from like at this point, what, like 2 weeks back at the stage? Gapped up, ran up well, and really kept going over time. So it's been a phenomenal swing trade, but as good of a day trade given the volatility. Stock made like a 4.5 point move. Actually, more than a 5 point move at that. So, hey, it's at the highest here. I feel like the closer we get to like a major level like 30, it should look to stall out. And I feel like that's what we're starting to see here. So, it's even dipping off right now. It's a good sideless stock still at this stage. If you did well on it from earlier this morning, then you certainly know who you are, and you'll be more inclined to put it on your personal list. That's it. Let's see if there's anything else looking a lot better, though, at this point. Perhaps more momentum to the upside at this stage. IO and Q, it's hard to ignore IO and Q. Moving back up briefly here, even when it dipped off earlier, hey, it ended up bouncing back up again. So giving it another, shot. I'll put this on our list here as well from earlier today. All right, what else we got here on the gainer side, though? Really, there could be more that's up a little bit. Sun W, the stock in the past we've traded, not really looking that great here. Another A, ALIM. It's actually trying to creep back up to Thursday's move there that we had. Right now, though, the liquidity is really bad. It's just not worth our time. Another A, AMTX. Looks like it did well pretty earlier, just up until now. Pulled back off of 405, 406, the high there. With this last shake, not looking as good. All right, so that's it for right now. Ron calling out Tesla at the highs too, so that could be good for the markets altogether. And we'll take a look at anything else otherwise that may be looking good on the way up in just a moment. Looks like we my joke of the day. Get ready for my bad joke, folks. My bad joke of the day. You know what it is? You ready for it? Looks like we got a drought here on rain. That's my joke here for the day. Got exactly 0 laughs earlier as expected, but with that rain down big here today. Oh, there we go. We got Leda there in the chat board. There we go. We got one. That probably made her happy with the Friday riddle there. Leda, that's as creative as you'll ever find me. I'm probably never going to answer any of those Friday riddles correctly ever, but yeah, rain here took a huge hit, dropped off pretty badly, down 86+%. Is it possible for this stock to bounce? Absolutely. Down 86, 87%. It's like a clearance sale. Now, at that point, though, are we expecting it? Well, it bounced a little bit earlier, but it's been flat since. It's holding under the VWAP since. So, for right now, I'll keep it on the side. Maybe check in with it tomorrow. If it pops later on today, as I jump back on the audio commentary for all of us, then perhaps we'll call it out at that point. But do not hold your breath waiting for this move. Do not. I remember a stock a few years back by the name of ARDX. And ARDX gapped down about 88% this day back in July of 21. It took it quite some time to try and fill that gap, didn't it? Don't get stuck hoping and holding. All right. So, yeah, for right now, it'll be on our side list trade, at least our side list right there, that rain trade. Let's see if there's anything looking good, though, as a short maybe otherwise. ICPT stock is crawling towards the lows right now. It doesn't have bad liquidity, lower high a bit there off of 975 or so. I'd rather this actually. I mean, if it could snap down towards the 950 level sooner than later, I'll be very happy with that. It'll probably be near the bottom by the end of it all here of our watch list, but it'll make the cut. This ICPT is a potential short. Boyle, what goes up comes back down from last week. This did really well last week, and right back down it goes. Foot Locker, unfortunately, hard to borrow for me here today. I didn't even check in with it this morning, but Foot Locker, I mean, we just talked about it from Friday last week, right? It broke under 30. If it could remain under 30, this stock was already breaking below historical levels. So it took another big dip today, down over 7, near 8% Foot Locker. That would have been a pretty good short. Normally, this stock doesn't have the best liquidity, so I didn't even remember this stock going into the pre-market today. So, had my eyes set on that pack W. All right, so I'll tell you what, folks, if there is anything else looking good, up, down, left, right, more than 5%, then type it in the chat board here. We'll take a look at Ron's Tesla. And yeah, that is pushing on and on up pretty well, isn't it? So, hey, if you trade TSLL, Tesla ETF, then, that could be a better play given the price. So, if I put TSLL on the list, that's the cheaper alternative. But if you want to buy calls on the equity heading into the close, then do that. From Sam saying AVIR popped. There we go. That one was one of the A's that we did put on our main list. So even better. Now that we ran into this year in perfect timing, I have to say. It was kind of crawling up. It was slow. I'm sure we would have came to it at some point during this meeting, but damn, we ended up coming to this trade as soon as it was re-breaking back over 5. So long as it held over 5. I'd like to think that we can get a pretty big move shortly after. Sam saying Riot maybe. Mara has moved down off its lows this morning. Well, Mara off that SEC subpoena, I've been pretty non-bullish on, to say the least. Yeah, Riot's up big. I mean, hey, that could be a great stock to follow. I know Fausto was calling out Coinbase earlier today too. For the price, I'm not going to be as keen to follow Coinbase. But and I'll tell you what, on top of that, Sam, Riot is absolutely tradable. It's up big, but I'm not going to put it on our main list. I'm not going to fall for this trick again, where these crypto mining related stocks never run higher into the close. I'm certain that one day I'll have egg in my face and being wrong with that, but fool me once, shame on me. See, I messed it up. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. There we go. It's probably the first time in a long time I messed that one up. All right, what else we got here, though, folks? Lastly, before we close out, if there's anything else looking really strong, W key, look at this, trying to go back up again. Pretty big spread, though. Big spread. Not a fan of that. It's like a pop and drop type of play. You can get caught really badly on a stock like this. You can get caught really badly on a stock like HEPA also, which we have on our side list for the time being. BVS stock is up 9%, trying to go back up from Friday. Not terrible. Not terrible. I mean, just popped right now, so you'd hope to see a lot more left from that point. I'm just looking at Benzinga Pro right now, kind of scanning through here myself. MEGL, little pop and drop. Not much more to it than that so far. And that's pretty much all I got. Let me go back to that BVS. I don't know. That was up about 9% just a moment ago. Just popped now. It was trading a really low volume per minute. Even now, it still is. So I'll write it down for the side list, but I like the others a hell of a lot more so far. I mean, even that Tesla ETF is looking really good. You got AVIR, which just popped. I'm a big fan of Pack W still at this point, folks. So there is a lot to already work with. I would start and stick with this watch list if you're not joining us in class coming up. For Sam and Grant and Leda and Tony and all of us there live, I know that the vast majority of us will be in the Phase 1 stock course coming up later on in just about 10 or 15 minutes. So with that, I mean, hey, don't look to trade and be in class just at the same time, folks. Just would rather have your full undivided attention on one or the other, really. So if you're not joining us in class, I look forward to being with you inside this live trading room. But otherwise, I would rather you put your focus in class and just learn more about what we do and really how we best get set up with our computer and platform here. Chuck saying NNOX. Take a look at least and. Yeah, I missed out on this one, actually. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't up as much, but should have. Yeah. Yeah, it actually probably just wasn't up enough there, Chuck, at the time on the gainers list. Good reminder. Yeah, I mean, for right now, I'll put this back on our list. You know, though, over time, the more expensive this potentially gets, the spread's going to open up that much more, and it will become pretty much just like cold was back in the day once that became out of our price range at that time, Chuck. So, good call for now as a day trade, still within our price range at the highs, pushing up well. Sid saying the AVIR trade retraced then tanked. I wouldn't call this tanking. This thing's still pushing up, Sid. Look at this. It's up 38% on the day. I wouldn't call that tanking. It's got an iceberg now at 520, like you brought up, though. You brought up that iceberg, which is, very important there. Not just at 520 even, but also at 524. Order on the ask also sitting there too. And also one at 534. Got a couple of other prices to work with there. So hopefully from this point, Sid, this could look to build higher lows and then look to make the higher high later on. All right, folks, but their last call for class coming on up ahead here today. Phase 1, Lesson 2 lined up at 3:05 Eastern. So for Tony, Sydney, Grant, and Chuck, and Sam, and all of us here live, make sure that you folks click that link right there to join. I appreciate Rich tagging in for me here during this class. We typically have him teach this exact class because he is a lot more informative with the tech side of everything altogether. I mean, computers, platform, he's your go-to. And I appreciate him doing that actually because I've been on a live microphone since 9:30 this morning with maybe 5 minutes of break time in between. Whew, I need water. So from Tim here, that's just joining us right now on YouTube. Let me catch this before we wrap up. Tim Z calling out the MBOT trade again. Yeah, I mean, it's already on our list. It still looks active enough to follow into the close, Tim, but lower highs you don't want to see. So hopefully this just at least pops sooner than later, and we could have one more run. All right, but for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, etc., the works, as I like to say, I appreciate you folks sticking with me each and every day, each and every afternoon. And on a sore, dry mouth, I appreciate that more than anything. There's my email address, josh@c2trading.com. Any questions that you have, feel free to shoot me a quick email. Otherwise, if you're interested in joining us inside our live trading room to continue the audio commentary today, tomorrow, or next week even, just go right down to the link on the green banner below the stream right there to get yourself set up and started. But otherwise, for Leda, Sam, Tony, and all of us here live, actually, there's going to be a small break in the audio. I will be back on here since Rich is teaching class coming up. I will be back on the microphone at 3:30. 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, folks. So 30-minute intermission of audio, and then I will be back on at 3:30 going into the close. All right, I'll talk to you all soon. Take care.